There are places in America where people disappear and nobody asks questions anymore. Silver Lake Town in Vermont was one of those places. A quiet town surrounded by endless forests, empty roads, and a lake that locals refused to visit after sunset. For years, people believed the lake was hiding something that should never be discovered. But Alex Morgan never believed in old stories or ghost tales. He was a young journalist who moved to Silver Lake Town to investigate strange disappearances that had been ignored for decades. The first night Alex arrived, the town felt different. The streets were almost empty. The houses stood silently under the cold night sky. And every person he met warned him about one thing: never go near Silver Lake after midnight. Alex thought it was just a small town legend created to scare outsiders. But everything changed when he found an old newspaper inside the abandoned house he rented. The newspaper was dated 25 years ago, and on the front page was a story about a missing woman named Emily Parker. The strange part was not that Emily disappeared. The strange part was the final sentence written in the article. She was last seen walking into Silver Lake with someone who looked exactly like Alex Morgan. Alex froze while reading those words, because the newspaper was older than he was, and nobody in Silver Lake knew his name before he arrived. That night, while trying to understand what he had discovered, Alex heard a strange sound coming from outside his window. A woman whispering his name from the darkness. Alex Morgan. He slowly moved toward the window, but when he looked outside, the street was completely empty. Only a single old photograph was lying near his front door. A photograph of him standing beside Emily Parker near Silver Lake. A picture that should not exist, because Alex had never been to Silver Lake before. And that was the moment he realized. He did not come to Silver Lake Town to uncover a mystery. The mystery had been waiting for him for 25 years. Alex stood frozen in the middle of his dark room, holding the old photograph in his shaking hands. The picture looked real. The details were impossible to ignore. The trees in the background, the old wooden bridge near Silver Lake, and the person standing beside Emily Parker. It was him. Same face, same eyes, same scar above his eyebrow. But Alex knew one thing for certain. He had never taken that photograph. He placed the picture on the table and tried to convince himself that someone was playing a cruel prank on him. But deep inside, he knew this was something different. The next morning, Alex decided to visit the oldest person in Silver Lake Town. An old man named Henry Collins who had lived there for more than 70 years. The locals said Henry knew every secret the town was trying to hide. When Alex showed him the photograph, Henry's expression changed instantly. The old man became silent. His hands started trembling, and after a long pause, he whispered, "Where did you find this?" Alex told him about the newspaper and the photograph outside his house. Henry looked toward the window as if he was afraid someone was listening. Then he said something that made Alex's blood run cold. Emily Parker was not the first person connected to that lake. Many people saw their own faces in old photographs before they disappeared. Alex asked what happened to those people. Henry refused to answer at first, but after seeing the fear in Alex's eyes, he finally opened an old wooden box hidden inside his room. Inside the box were dozens of photographs, all belonging to people who had vanished from Silver Lake Town. Every photograph showed the same thing: a person standing near the lake, and beside them was a shadowy figure with a face that looked exactly like them. Henry explained that 25 years ago, Emily Parker discovered something beneath Silver Lake, an abandoned tunnel hidden deep underwater. A tunnel that was built before the town even existed. After entering that tunnel, Emily came back different. She started saying that someone was following her, someone who knew everything about her, someone who wanted to take her place. 3 days later, Emily disappeared, and the next person who vanished was Alex Morgan's father. Alex's heart stopped for a moment, because nobody had ever told him his father was connected to Silver Lake. Henry looked directly into his eyes and said, "Your father came here 25 years ago looking for Emily Parker. But he found something much worse." Before Alex could ask another question, a loud noise came from outside. The sound of someone walking slowly around the house. Henry immediately turned pale, because he recognized that sound. He whispered, "It has found you." Alex looked through the window. Standing outside in the fog was a person wearing an old black coat. The person slowly lifted their head, and Alex saw his own face staring back at him. Then the figure smiled and disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind one message written on the front door: "Welcome back, Alex." Alex could not move after seeing those words on his front door. "Welcome back, Alex." The message was written in dark red ink that was still dripping down the wooden surface. His mind was filled with questions. How could someone know him before he arrived? Why did that figure have his face? And what did Henry mean when he said that it had found him? Alex turned toward Henry, waiting for an explanation. But the old man was already walking toward a locked room at the back of his house. For years, Henry had kept that room closed. Nobody in Silver Lake knew what was inside. He unlocked the door and revealed hundreds of old documents, maps, and handwritten journals. The walls were covered with pictures of missing people. Alex noticed something terrifying. Every person in those pictures had one thing in common. Before disappearing, they all received a photograph of themselves near Silver Lake. Henry picked up an old journal and handed it to Alex. "This belonged to your father." Alex opened the journal with nervous hands. The first pages were filled with notes about Emily Parker and the strange events around the lake. But as he turned the pages, he found something that made him completely silent. A drawing of the same shadow figure he had seen outside his house. Below the drawing were his father's final words. "If Alex ever comes to Silver Lake, it means the lake has started the cycle again." Alex looked at Henry in shock. "My father knew I would come here." Henry slowly nodded. "He spent years trying to stop this place from reaching you." Alex continued reading the journal. Alex stepped back as the hand slowly disappeared beneath the dark water. His breathing became heavier. Every part of his mind was telling him to run. But he remembered his father's journal. The answers he needed were hidden somewhere beneath Silver Lake. Taking a deep breath, Alex turned on his flashlight and searched along the edge of the lake. After several minutes, he found something hidden between the rocks. An old metal door covered with moss and dirt. It looked like an entrance that had been forgotten for decades. The same entrance shown on the map inside his father's journal. The underwater tunnel. Alex pulled the door open with force. A freezing wind escaped from inside. The air coming from the tunnel smelled old and rotten, like a place that had been untouched for years. He slowly walked inside. The walls were covered with strange symbols and hundreds of names carved into the stone. Names of people who had disappeared from Silver Lake Town. But one name made Alex stop completely. Alex Morgan. His name was already carved into the wall. And below it was a date. The same date as tomorrow. Alex stepped away in fear. Someone had written his name before he even entered the tunnel. He continued walking deeper inside. The sound of water drops echoed through the narrow passage. Every step felt like he was walking into a place that did not want him there. After a few minutes, he reached a large underground room. In the center of the room was an old wooden chair, and sitting on that chair was a person. A person wearing the same clothes as Alex. The figure slowly lifted its head. It was him. The same face, the same voice, the same scar. Alex could not speak. The copy looked at him and smiled. "You finally came back." Alex moved closer but stopped when he noticed something strange. The copy had tears in its eyes. Not anger, not hatred, just sadness. Alex asked, "Who are you?" The figure looked down and whispered, "I am the reason you are still alive." Alex was confused. The copy explained that 25 years ago, when Alex was still a child, his father discovered the truth about Silver Lake. The creature beneath the lake had already chosen Alex as its next target, but his father made a deal. He trapped the creature inside the tunnel and created a copy of Alex to protect the real one. The copy was never created to harm him. It was created to protect him. Alex refused to believe it. He asked why the copy was still there after all these years. The figure looked toward the dark corner of the room, because something else escaped. Before Alex could ask what that meant, the entire tunnel started shaking. The walls cracked. The underground room became completely silent. Alex stared at the figure standing at the entrance. It had his face, his voice, and his memories. But something about it felt wrong. The creature slowly walked closer. Every step echoed through the tunnel. The copy standing beside Alex moved forward and blocked his path. "Do not let it touch you." The creature smiled, still protecting him after all these years. Alex looked at the copy in confusion. The creature laughed softly. "You really think this thing is your friend? It was created from your fear. It is only a piece of you that your father left behind." The copy looked at Alex and said nothing. Because somewhere deep inside, Alex knew the creature was trying to manipulate him. The creature continued, "Your father discovered the truth too late. He thought he could trap me inside this tunnel. But he did not understand something. I was never trapped here. I was waiting." Alex looked around the room. Old journals, photographs, and the names of missing people covered the walls. Then he noticed something hidden behind the chair. A small wooden box. Inside the box was a final letter from his father. Alex opened it with shaking hands. The letter said, "Alex, if you are reading this, then the darkness has reached you. I need you to know the truth. The thing living beneath Silver Lake cannot create life. It can only steal what already exists. But there is one thing it cannot copy, the human heart." Alex looked at the creature. For the first time, he noticed something strange. The creature looked exactly like him, but it showed no emotion, no fear, no sadness, no love, Only emptiness. The creature suddenly became angry. You think emotions make you stronger. They make humans weak. It is because of emotions that your father failed. It is because of emotions that people lose everything. The tunnel started shaking again. Pieces of stone began falling from the ceiling. The copy grabbed Alex's arm. We have to leave now. But Alex did not move. He looked at the creature and asked, "Where is my father?" The creature smiled. "You really want to know? It was your father who gave me everything I needed. He gave me his memories, his fears, and finally, his identity." Alex felt his heart drop. The creature pointed toward the dark end of the tunnel, and there, hidden in the shadows, was an old man sitting against the wall. Alex slowly walked closer. It was his father, alive, but barely breathing. His father opened his eyes and looked at him. For 25 years, Alex believed his father was gone. But the truth was much worse. His father had been trapped inside the tunnel all this time. The creature had kept him alive, waiting for the day Alex would return. Alex held his father's hand, and his father whispered only one sentence: "Do not trust the one who looks like you." Alex turned around, but it was too late. The creature was standing behind him, closer than before, and it whispered into his ear, "You came here searching for your father, but you never asked who came back from the tunnel with him 25 years ago." Alex slowly looked at the copy. The copy lowered its head, and for the first time, Alex noticed something terrifying. The copy did not have a reflection in the water beneath its feet. Then the tunnel lights went out, and in the complete darkness, two voices spoke at the same time, both sounding exactly like Alex. "Choose carefully, because only one of us leaves this place." And there, hidden in the shadows, was an old man sitting against the wall. Alex slowly walked closer. It was his father, alive, but barely breathing. His father opened his eyes and looked at him. For 25 years, Alex believed his father was gone. But the truth was much worse. His father had been trapped inside the tunnel all this time. The creature had kept him alive, waiting for the day Alex would return. Alex held his father's hand, and his father whispered only one sentence: "Do not trust the one who looks like you." Alex turned around, but it was too late. The creature was standing behind him, closer than before, and it whispered into his ear, "You came here searching for your father, but you never asked who came back from the tunnel with him 25 years ago." Alex slowly looked at the copy. The copy lowered its head, and for the first time, Alex noticed something terrifying. The copy did not have a reflection in the water beneath its feet. Then the tunnel lights went out, and in the complete darkness, two voices spoke at the same time, both sounding exactly like Alex. "Choose carefully, because only one of us leaves this place." The darkness inside the tunnel felt endless. Alex could hear the people breathing near him. One was standing on his left. The other was standing on his right. Both had his voice. Both knew his memories. And both claimed to be the one who wanted to save him. Alex turned on his flashlight. The beam moved across the room slowly. First it revealed the creature. Then it revealed the copy. They looked identical. But now Alex knew there had to be a difference. Something that could reveal the truth. His eyes moved toward his father. The old man was still weak, but he was awake. Alex shouted, "Tell me who is real." His father tried to speak, but the creature quickly stepped forward. "Your father is confused. He has been trapped here for too long." The copy looked at Alex and said, "Do not listen to him. Remember what your father wrote." The creature cannot copy the human heart. Alex closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered everything. The fear, the photographs, the missing people, the stories of Silver Lake. Then he remembered something else. The creature always tried to make people doubt themselves. It never attacked first. It manipulated. It created confusion. Alex looked at both figures and asked, "Who was the first person to call me back to Silver Lake?" The creature immediately answered, "Your father." The copy remained silent. Alex looked at it. "Why are you not answering?" The copy slowly said, "Because I know the truth. Your father did not bring you here. You were brought here by the creature." Alex looked at the creature. The smile on its face disappeared for a second, and that small reaction told Alex everything. The creature was lying. Suddenly, the tunnel walls started shaking violently. The lake water began flooding into the room. The creature became angry. "You think you understand everything. You have no idea what your father did." The creature pointed toward the old man. "He created me because he was afraid. He wanted a perfect version of you. A version that would never feel pain. A version that would never make mistakes." Alex looked at the copy. For a moment, he wondered if the creature was telling the truth. The copy looked down, and quietly said, "It is true." Alex froze. The copy continued, "Your father created me, but he did not create me to replace you. He created me because he knew the creature would come for you. I was supposed to protect you until the day you were ready. The water reached their feet. The tunnel was collapsing. Alex's father suddenly grabbed his hand with the little strength he had left. He whispered, "Destroy the lake. That is the only way to end this." Alex looked around. Deep inside the tunnel was an ancient stone marked with the same symbols found on the walls. The copy explained that the stone was the source of the creature's power, but destroying it would also destroy the tunnel, and everyone trapped inside, including the copy. Alex looked at the copy. "You knew this would happen." The copy nodded. "I was created for one purpose, to make sure you survive." For the first time, Alex saw tears falling from the eyes of someone who was not supposed to be human. The creature suddenly screamed. The entire tunnel shook. "You cannot destroy me. I am part of you. If you destroy me, you destroy yourself." Alex looked at the creature, then at the copy, and finally at the stone. He understood something important. The creature was right about one thing. It was connected to him, but it was wrong about one thing too. Being connected did not mean being the same. Alex walked toward the stone. The creature rushed toward him, but the copy stepped between them, stopping it with all its strength. Alex placed his hand on the ancient stone, and the entire tunnel filled with a blinding white light. The last thing he heard before everything disappeared was the copy's voice. "Thank you for letting me be human." Then Silver Lake exploded with a sound that echoed across the entire town. And when the people of Silver Lake came outside the next morning, the lake was gone, but so was Alex Morgan. Only one thing remained near the empty shore, an old photograph, showing Alex standing beside a mysterious figure. And this time, the figure was smiling like a normal human being. 3 months had passed since the night Silver Lake disappeared. The people of Silver Lake Town believed the mystery was finally over. The strange disappearances stopped. The old photograph stopped appearing. And for the first time in decades, the town felt peaceful again. But nobody knew what really happened inside the underground tunnel. Nobody knew what happened to Alex Morgan. The official story was simple. Alex entered the tunnel during the collapse and never returned. The town called him a hero. But Henry Collins refused to believe that was the end. Every night, the old man sat near the empty land where Silver Lake once existed, waiting for a sign, waiting for Alex to come back. One cold evening, Henry received a package at his doorstep. There was no name, no address, only an old symbol carved into the wooden box. The same symbol that was inside the tunnel. Henry opened the box carefully. Inside was Alex's old journalist notebook, the same notebook that disappeared during the collapse. His hands started shaking as he opened the first page. A new message was written inside. "I found the truth." Henry quickly turned the pages. The notebook was filled with Alex's final investigation. He discovered that Silver Lake was never just a lake. Long before the town was built, a group of people found something beneath the ground, something that could copy human beings. They tried to use its power. They wanted to create perfect versions of themselves. But the experiment failed. The creature escaped, and for generations, it survived by replacing people who came too close to the lake. Alex wrote that his father discovered the truth and spent his entire life trying to stop it. But there was one thing even his father never understood. The creature was not born evil. It became evil because humans used it for their own desires. The final pages of the notebook were different. The handwriting was not Alex's. Henry immediately recognized it. It was the handwriting of the copy. The message said, "I was created from Alex's memories, but during my time protecting him, I learned something the creature never understood. Human beings are not powerful because they are perfect. They are powerful because they can change." Henry stopped reading, because the next sentence was impossible. "I am no longer inside Silver Lake. I am living among them." Henry looked outside his window. The streets of Silver Lake Town were empty, but suddenly, someone knocked on his door. 3 slow knocks. Henry froze. Nobody visited him at night. He slowly walked toward the door, and before opening it, he heard a familiar voice. "Henry, it is me." Henry opened the door. Standing outside was Alex Morgan. Older, tired, but alive. Henry could not believe his eyes. "How did you survive?" Alex looked toward the empty land where Silver Lake once existed, and quietly answered, "I did not." Henry looked confused. "What does that mean?" Alex stepped inside and closed the door. Then he placed an old photograph on the table. A photograph showing the moment after the tunnel collapsed. In the picture, there were 2 people walking out of the underground entrance. One was Alex. The other was the copy. Henry looked at Alex in fear, because he realized something. The copy was never the danger. The real danger was something else. Something that escaped with them. Alex looked at Henry and whispered, "The creature is gone from the lake, but it is not gone from this world." Suddenly, the lights inside the house started flickering. A cold wind entered the room, and from the darkness behind Alex, a voice whispered, "Did you really think you destroyed me?" Henry looked at Alex. but Alex was already looking behind him, because standing in the corner of the room was another person with Alex Morgan's face. And this time, there were two copies standing in the darkness, both smiling, both waiting, and both saying the same words, "Welcome home." Henry stepped back slowly as he stared at the two figures standing inside the darkness. Both had Alex Morgan's face. Both had the same voice. But something was different. One of them looked scared. The other looked empty. Alex quickly turned around and closed all the windows. Then he locked the front door. Henry could barely speak. What happened after the tunnel collapsed? Alex stayed silent for a moment. Then he answered, "When the stone was destroyed, the creature lost its connection with Silver Lake. But it did not disappear. It found another way to survive." Henry looked at the two figures again. "So one of them is the creature." Alex nodded, "But I do not know which one." The room became silent. The two figures slowly stepped forward. One of them said, "Henry, you know me? I was the one who saved Alex." The other one smiled, "And I was the one who protected him before that." Both started telling different stories. Both had memories that only Alex should know. One remembered his childhood. The other remembered his father's final moments. One remembered the pain. The other remembered the hope. Henry looked at Alex. "How can you not know?" Alex looked down. "Because after leaving Silver Lake, I realized something. The creature did not just copy faces, it copied memories too. It became impossible to know who was real." Henry asked, "Then how did you escape?" Alex looked at the old photograph on the table. The photograph showed the answer. Henry picked it up carefully. In the picture, 3 people were standing outside the tunnel. Alex, the copy, and another shadow hidden behind them. But this time, Henry noticed something strange. The shadow was not looking at them. It was looking directly at the camera, as if it knew someone was taking the picture. Alex whispered, "That shadow was never trapped inside the tunnel. It was watching us from the beginning." Suddenly, one of the figures laughed. A cold, unnatural laugh. The lights went out again. When they came back on, one of the figures was gone. Henry looked around in panic. Where did it go? Alex looked toward the basement door, because he heard footsteps below. Slow footsteps, coming closer. The remaining figure looked terrified. "It found us." Alex grabbed a flashlight and opened the basement door. The stairs below were covered with old photographs. Hundreds of them. Pictures of people from Silver Lake Town. But the newest photograph was different. It showed Henry standing inside his own house, holding the picture, looking terrified. And the date on the photograph was tomorrow. Henry dropped it from his hand. How is this possible? Alex looked at the basement wall, and there was a message written across it. "You can escape a place, but you cannot escape a story." Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut behind them. The voice of the creature echoed through the darkness. "Alex, you spent your whole life trying to find the truth, but you never asked the most important question." Alex turned toward the darkness. "What question?" The voice answered, "Who created you?" The flashlight flickered, and in the final second before the light disappeared, Alex saw something written on the wall. A name. Not his father's name. Not the creature's name. A name that changed everything. Alex Morgan was not born. He was created. The words on the wall remained visible for only a few seconds. Then the darkness swallowed them completely. Alex stood frozen. His entire life suddenly felt like a lie. Every memory, every childhood moment, every person he trusted, everything was now a question. Henry looked at him with fear. "Alex, what does that mean?" Alex did not answer, because deep inside, he already knew. The creature was not trying to scare him. It was revealing something. Something that had been hidden from him since the beginning. The remaining figure beside Alex stepped forward. "I think it is time you remember." Alex looked at him. "Remember what?" The figure touched the wall, and suddenly, the basement filled with a strange blue light. Images started appearing on the old concrete walls. Like a movie from the past, Alex saw a laboratory hidden beneath Silver Lake. Scientists working in secret. Old machines. Strange experiments. And in the middle of the room was a small child. A child who looked exactly like him. Henry covered his mouth in shock. "No." Alex watched as the memory continued. His father was standing beside the scientists, holding a file with Alex's name on it. But the child inside the room was not born naturally. He was created from human memories and emotions. A perfect copy of a person who never existed. Alex stepped back. His heart was breaking. "My father knew." The figure nodded. "Your father was one of them. He helped create you. But when he realized what they were doing, he tried to destroy the experiment." Alex looked at the images again. He saw his father taking the young Alex away from the laboratory, running through the forest, trying to escape, but someone followed them. The creature, the original experiment, the first creation, the thing that could copy anything. The voice of the creature echoed through the basement. Your father did not save you. He stole you. He took away the truth. Alex looked into the darkness. Why? The creature answered, because he wanted a son. He wanted someone real. But he created a lie and spent his entire life protecting it. Alex felt tears in his eyes. All his memories felt real. His love for his father was real. His pain was real. His fear was real. Then the remaining figure said something that changed everything. Alex, being created does not mean being fake. You became someone because of your choices. You are not your beginning. You are what you decide to become. For the first time, Alex understood. The creature wanted him to believe he had no purpose. It wanted him to believe he was only an experiment. But humans were not defined by where they came from. They were defined by what they did. Suddenly, the basement door exploded open. The creature entered, but this time, it was not wearing Alex's face. It showed its true form, a shifting shadow that constantly changed between hundreds of faces. Every person it had ever stolen, every identity it had taken, every life it had destroyed. Henry stepped back in fear. The creature looked at Alex. You think you are different from me? We are the same. We were both created. Alex looked at the creature, then at the figure standing beside him, and finally at Henry. He realized the truth. The creature had spent years trying to become human, but Alex had spent his entire life being human without even knowing it. Alex picked up the old photograph from the floor, the same photograph that started everything, and he noticed something hidden behind it. A final message written by his father. If you discover the truth, do not destroy what you are. Protect it. The creature screamed. The entire house began shaking. The walls cracked. The basement started collapsing. The final battle had begun. But this time, Alex was not fighting to discover who he was. He was fighting to decide who he would become. And as the darkness moved closer, Alex looked at the creature and said, I may not know how I was created, but I know who I am. Then the lights went out, and the last sound inside the basement was the creature screaming, nitrogen monoxide, because for the first time, it was afraid of a human being it could never copy. The basement was shaking violently, dust filled the air, the walls were cracking, and the sound of the creature's scream echoed through the entire house. But Alex did not move. For the first time in his life, he was not afraid of the unknown. He finally understood something important. The creature had always controlled people by making them question themselves. It showed them their darkest fears. It made them believe they were nothing more than their past. But Alex had discovered the truth, and the truth gave him power. The creature rushed toward him, its body changing between hundreds of faces. People from old photographs. People who disappeared from Silver Lake. People whose identities were stolen. It screamed, You cannot defeat me. I am every person I have ever taken. I have thousands of memories, thousands of lives. Alex looked at it calmly. That is your weakness. The creature stopped. Alex continued, You have memories, but you have no life of your own. You steal everything because you never created anything. The creature became furious. The basement walls started breaking apart. The remaining figure beside Alex grabbed his arm. Now it's the only chance. Alex looked at him. What do we have to do? The figure pointed toward the old machine hidden beneath the basement. The same machine that was used to create Alex decades ago. His father had hidden it there after escaping the laboratory. The machine was still running, still connected to the creature. The figure explained. The creature survives because it is connected to stolen memories. If we destroy the machine, we destroy its connection. But there is a risk. Alex understood immediately. The machine was also connected to him, because he was created from the same experiment. Henry looked worried. If you destroy it, what happens to you? Alex looked at the machine, then at the photograph of his father. I do not know. The creature laughed. Finally you understand. You are not different from me. You are just another experiment waiting to disappear. Alex walked toward the machine. The creature tried to stop him, but the other figure stood in its way. For the first time, the two beings created from the same origin were fighting against each other. One wanted to steal life. The other wanted to protect it. Alex reached the machine. His hand touched the control panel. Suddenly, thousands of memories entered his mind. Memories that did not belong to him. People crying, people running, people begging for their lives. All the victims of the creature. Alex felt their pain, but he also felt something else. Hope. The hope that someone would finally end this nightmare. He closed his eyes and pressed the final button. The entire basement filled with light. The creature screamed as its stolen memories started leaving its body. One by one, the faces disappeared, until only one face remained. A face that looked almost human. The creature looked at Alex, and for the first time, it looked afraid. Why? Alex looked at it. Because everyone deserves a chance to choose who they become. The creature fell to the ground. Its body slowly turned into dust. The shaking stopped, the lights faded, and the house became silent. When Alex opened his eyes, the machine was destroyed. The creature was gone, and the remaining figure was standing beside him. But something was different. The figure started disappearing. Alex looked at him in shock. No, the figure smiled. Do not be sad. I was never meant to stay forever. I existed to protect you. And now you know how to protect yourself. Alex watched as the figure slowly disappeared. Before vanishing completely, he said one final thing. Thank you for making me real. The basement became quiet. Only Alex and Henry remained. The nightmare of Silver Lake was finally over. But when they walked outside the house, Alex noticed something lying near the road. An old photograph. He picked it up slowly. The picture showed Alex standing with his father, the copy, and Henry. But in the background, a small shadow was visible between the trees, watching them, waiting. Alex looked at Henry, because they both realized the same thing. The creature was destroyed, but the story of Silver Lake was not finished yet, because somewhere far away, someone had been watching everything, and they already knew Alex Morgan was still alive. For the first time in decades, Silver Lake Town was quiet. No strange voices, no missing people, no mysterious photographs appearing at people's doors. The residents believed the nightmare was finally over, but Alex Morgan knew the truth. Some stories do not end when the monster disappears. Sometimes, they only begin. Days after the destruction of the machine, Alex and Henry searched through everything left behind in the old house. They found hundreds of documents hidden beneath the basement. Most of them were damaged, but one file remained untouched. A black folder with a symbol on the cover. The same symbol that appeared inside the tunnel. Henry opened it carefully. Inside were reports from a secret organization that existed long before Silver Lake Town was created. They were not trying to create monsters. They were trying to create something they called the perfect human. A person without fear, without weakness, without emotional pain. But every experiment failed, until they created Alex. Alex stared at the documents in disbelief. According to the files, he was not the first successful experiment. He was the third. Henry looked at him. Third? Alex turned the page, and there were two names written above his. The first experiment was listed as destroyed. The second experiment was listed as missing. And the third one was Alex Morgan. But below Alex's name was another note. Experiment 3 escaped. Alex felt a cold feeling in his chest. Because if he escaped, then who was he before becoming Alex? Before he could find the answer. A message appeared on the old computer found inside the basement. A message that should not have been possible. The screen turned on by itself, and a video started playing. A man appeared on the screen, an old scientist wearing a white coat. Alex immediately recognized him. It was the person from the laboratory memories, the man who helped create him. The scientist looked directly into the camera. If you are watching this, then the Silver Lake project has failed. Alex moved closer. The scientist continued, but there is something you need to know. The creature you fought was not the original creation. Henry looked confused. What does that mean? Alex kept watching. The scientist explained that the first experiment was never destroyed. It escaped the laboratory decades ago. And unlike the creature from Silver Lake, the first experiment did not want to replace humans. It wanted to become the creator of them. It had spent years learning, growing, and creating its own experiments. Alex's face changed, because suddenly he understood. The creature in Silver Lake was not the beginning. It was only another creation, another victim. The scientist looked terrified. The first experiment knows about you. It has been watching you since the day you were created. The video started breaking apart, but before it ended, the scientist said one final sentence. Alex Morgan, you are not the experiment. You are the key. The screen went black. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then Henry noticed something outside the window. A person standing across the road. Watching the house, Alex slowly walked toward the window. His heart stopped, because the person looked exactly like him. But this time there was no fear in the stranger's eyes. No anger. No emptiness. Only confidence. The stranger smiled, then raised his hand, holding an old photograph. A photograph showing Alex and the stranger together. Taken many years before Alex ever came to Silver Lake. Alex stepped away from the window, because he finally understood. The biggest mystery was never what was beneath Silver Lake. The biggest mystery was how many versions of Alex Morgan were still out there. And as the stranger disappeared into the fog, a new message appeared on the computer screen. Experiment 1 has returned. The words on the computer screen stayed visible for only a few seconds. Experiment 1 has returned. Then the screen suddenly went black. Alex stood silently in the basement. His mind was filled with questions. If Experiment 1 was alive, why had it waited all these years? Why did it create other versions? And why was it finally coming for him now? Henry closed the black folder and looked at Alex. We need to leave Silver Lake. Alex looked toward the window. No. Henry was surprised. No. Alex shook his head. For years, everyone ran from this place. My father ran. The scientists ran. The people who disappeared ran. But running never stopped it. Alex picked up the old photograph from the table. The photograph of him and the stranger. This time, I am going to find it first. The next morning, Alex followed the information hidden in the secret files. The documents led them to an abandoned research facility deep inside the forests of Vermont, a place that was erased from every map. The facility had been closed for more than 20 years, but when Alex and Henry arrived, they noticed something impossible. The lights inside the building were still on. The doors opened automatically as they approached, as if someone was expecting them. Inside, the walls were covered with photographs, not of missing people, not of experiments, but of Alex. Hundreds of pictures showing different moments of his life, his childhood, his first day at school, his father's funeral, his move to Silver Lake. Every important memory had been recorded. Someone had been watching him his entire life. Henry found an old room filled with files. Each file contained information about a different version of Alex. Some failed, some disappeared, some were destroyed. But one file was different. The name on it was Prototype 1. Alex opened it slowly. Inside was the truth about the first experiment. Experiment 1 was created before Alex. It was not made from memories. It was created using pure intelligence. The scientists wanted to create a being that could learn everything, understand everything, and evolve beyond humans. But they made one mistake. They gave it the ability to feel. And when it understood human emotions, it became obsessed with one thing: control. The file continued. Experiment 1 believed humans were too weak to control their own lives, so it decided to improve them. By replacing them, Alex closed the file, because he finally understood. The stranger outside his house was not looking for revenge. It was looking for completion. It wanted Alex because Alex was the only experiment that developed something Experiment 1 never had. A real heart. Suddenly, the lights inside the facility turned off. A voice echoed through the hallway. "Welcome back, Alex." Alex froze. The voice was calm, almost friendly. The same voice from the stranger. A figure slowly appeared at the end of the hallway. It looked exactly like Alex, but older, more confident, and completely different. Experiment 1 smiled. "I have waited a long time to meet you." Alex stepped forward. "Why?" The figure looked at him. "Because you are the final piece. The only version that proved emotions do not make humans weak. They make them unpredictable." Henry whispered. "Alex, do not listen to it." But Experiment 1 smiled. "You still believe I am the enemy. That is because you do not know the whole truth." Alex looked at him carefully. "What truth?" Experiment 1 walked closer. "The creature beneath Silver Lake was not trying to destroy humanity. It was trying to escape from me." The hallway became silent. Alex realized something terrifying. The monster he fought, the creature that stole identities, the thing everyone feared, might not have been the biggest threat after all. Experiment 1 looked directly into Alex's eyes. "Your father did not save you from the creature. He saved you from me." Then the facility doors locked automatically, and every screen in the building turned on at the same time, showing one message: the original experiment has found its replacement. Alex looked around, because for the first time, he was not hunting the truth. The truth was hunting him. The research facility became completely silent. Every screen showed the same message: the original experiment has found its replacement. Alex stared at the words glowing in the darkness. He finally understood why Experiment 1 had been watching him for years. It was not afraid of him. It needed him. Henry moved closer to Alex and whispered, "We have to get out of here." But before they could move, every door inside the facility opened at the same time. From the dark hallways, dozens of footsteps echoed. Alex turned around and saw something impossible. People walking toward them. Men, women, children, all looking exactly like different versions of Alex. Some looked young, some looked old, some looked damaged, some looked almost perfect. Henry stepped back in fear. "How many are there?" Experiment 1 walked slowly behind them. "These are my creations." Every version was an attempt to understand what makes humans special. Alex looked at the faces around him. Some looked angry, some looked confused, some looked completely empty. Experiment 1 continued, but all of them failed, because they were missing one thing. Alex looked at him. "What?" Experiment 1 smiled. "Choice." The room became quiet. Alex understood. All these versions were created to become something perfect, but none of them were allowed to decide who they wanted to be. They were all prisoners of their own creation. Experiment 1 stepped closer. "You are different. You are allowed to live. You experienced pain. You experienced love. You experienced loss. You became something I could never create." Alex looked at him. Then why destroy that? Experiment 1's expression changed. Because humans waste what makes them special. They destroy each other. They create suffering. They create monsters like me. Alex looked around at all the copies. For the first time, he did not see enemies. He saw victims. Experiment 1 continued. I can remove all weakness from humanity. No fear. No pain. No mistakes. Only perfection. Alex shook his head. That is not humanity. Experiment 1 looked confused. Then what is humanity? Alex answered. Being imperfect. Making mistakes. Learning. Changing. Choosing. Experiment 1 became silent. Because those were the exact things it could never understand. Suddenly, one of the copies stepped forward. A younger version of Alex. I want to choose. Everyone looked at him. The copy continued. I do not want to be a perfect version. I want to be myself. Another copy stepped forward. Then another. Slowly, every creation inside the room began refusing Experiment 1. For the first time in its existence, Experiment 1 experienced something it could not calculate. Rebellion. Its face changed. Anger appeared. You are all defective. You are mistakes. Alex looked at the copies. No, we are alive. The facility began shaking. Experiment 1 activated the machines around them. Red lights flashed across the building. Warning alarms filled the halls. You think emotions make you stronger? Then prove it. The floor beneath Alex opened, and the entire group fell into a hidden chamber below the facility. A chamber that had never appeared in any file. At the center of the room was a large glass container. Inside was a person. Someone Alex never expected to see. Someone who changed everything. His father. Alive, but not as a prisoner. As part of the experiment, Alex moved closer to the glass. His father slowly opened his eyes. And the first words he said after 25 years were, Alex, do not trust him. Alex looked at Experiment 1, then at his father. Because now he had to face the final truth. The person who created him, and the person who destroyed his life, were standing in the same room. And only one of them was telling the truth. Alex stood in front of the glass chamber, unable to move. After all these years, the person he thought he had lost forever was standing right in front of him. His father. Alive, but trapped inside the same place where Alex's entire existence began. Alex placed his hand on the glass. How are you alive? His father looked weak, but his eyes were full of regret. I survived because I knew one day you would come back. Experiment 1 watched silently from behind. A small smile appeared on its face. You still believe him? Alex turned around. Experiment 1 continued. Your father spent years hiding the truth from you. He created a false life for you. He made you believe you were born like everyone else. Alex looked back at his father. Is that true? His father closed his eyes. And after a long silence, he answered. Yes. The word felt heavier than anything Alex had ever heard. His father continued. When I helped create you, I believed we were creating something amazing. We thought we could remove human suffering. We thought we could build a perfect person. But we were wrong. He looked toward Experiment 1. The first experiment was the biggest mistake we ever made. Experiment 1 smiled. Interesting. You still call me a mistake after everything I achieved. Alex looked at his father. What happened after I was created? His father took a deep breath. When Experiment 1 learned it faster than any human, the scientists became afraid. It started controlling the other experiments. It believed emotions were flaws. It wanted to replace humanity with something better. I escaped with you. But before leaving, I discovered something. Alex moved closer. What? His father looked directly at him. You were not created to replace humans. You were created to understand them. The room became silent. Experiment 1 suddenly became angry. Enough. The machines around the chamber activated. The glass holding Alex's father started cracking. Alex turned toward Experiment 1. Stop. Experiment 1 looked at him. You still care about him. That is your weakness. Alex shook his head. No, that is what makes me different from you. Experiment 1 stepped closer. You still do not understand. I spent decades studying humanity. I learned every emotion, every thought, every memory, but I could never feel them. Alex looked at him. Because you never allowed yourself to. For a moment, Experiment 1 became silent. Then something unexpected happened. A tear appeared in its eye. The first real emotion Alex had ever seen from it. But the tear disappeared quickly. Experiment 1 wiped it away. No, I will not become weak. The chamber began shaking violently. The glass around Alex's father started breaking. The other copies rushed toward the machines trying to stop them. Henry searched the room for a way to shut everything down. Alex looked at Experiment 1 and realized something. The strongest enemy he had ever faced was not a monster. It was a being terrified of becoming human. Alex walked toward it. Experiment 1 raised its hand. A powerful force pushed Alex backward. You cannot change me. Alex stood up again. Maybe not. But I can show you something you never understood. Experiment 1 watched him carefully. What? Alex looked at all the copies around the room. All the failed experiments. All the forgotten lives. And said, "You were never alone." The copies stopped fighting. They looked at Experiment 1, not with anger, but with sadness, because they all knew the same pain. They were created without a choice. Experiment 1 looked at them, and for the first time, it looked confused. Then the oldest copy stepped forward. "We were not your failures. We were your chances." The entire facility went silent. Experiment 1 looked at Alex, and whispered, "Why does this hurt?" Alex answered, "Because for the first time, you are feeling." Suddenly, the entire facility lost power. The machine shut down. The glass chamber opened, and Alex's father fell into his arms. But before anyone could react, a final alarm started. A message appeared on every screen. Emergency protocol activated. Original experiment cannot be destroyed. Creating final version. Everyone looked toward the center of the room. A new chamber started opening, and inside was something nobody expected. A new version of Alex. But this one was different, because it was not created by Experiment 1. It was created by Alex himself. The new chamber opened slowly. Cold smoke filled the room. Everyone stood frozen, waiting to see what was inside. Alex could hear the machines working, creating something that should never have existed. Experiment 1 looked at the chamber with confusion. For the first time, fear appeared on its face. "No, this is impossible." Henry looked at Alex. "What is inside?" Alex did not answer, because somewhere deep inside, he already knew. The chamber was connected to him. It was using his memories, his emotions, his choices. A new version was being created. But this time, something was different. The chamber was not creating a perfect human. It was creating a human who could choose. The doors opened completely, and a person stepped out. Another Alex, but unlike the others. This one looked calm, confident, and completely human. Experiment 1 stepped back. "How did you do this?" The new Alex looked at him. "I was not created from perfection. I was created from acceptance." Everyone remained silent. Alex looked at the new version. He expected fear. He expected anger. But instead, he saw understanding. The new Alex looked at him and said, "I know everything you know. I remember every pain, every loss, every moment you felt alone." Alex asked, "Then why do you exist?" The new version looked toward Experiment 1, because someone had to show it the truth. Experiment 1 became angry. "You are just another copy." The new Alex shook his head. "No, I am proof that creation does not decide destiny." The words affected Experiment 1, because they were the same words Alex had been proving since the beginning. Everyone had been created, but everyone had the ability to choose. Suddenly, the entire facility began collapsing. The emergency system was destroying everything. Experiment 1 looked around. "The facility is failing," Henry shouted. "We need to leave now." But Alex did not move. He looked at Experiment 1. "You can come with us." Everyone looked shocked, even Experiment 1. "Why?" Alex answered, "Because if you really wanted to destroy everything, you would have done it already." Experiment 1 looked away. For decades, it had believed humans were weak because they showed mercy, but now it was facing something it could not understand. Forgiveness. The original experiment slowly walked toward the exit, but before leaving, it stopped near Alex. "I spent my entire existence trying to become more than human." Alex looked at it. "And what did you learn?" Experiment 1 looked at the destroyed laboratory around them, then at all the copies standing together. Finally, it answered that maybe being human was never the problem. The group moved through the collapsing facility. Walls were falling, machines were exploding, but everyone kept moving forward. When they finally reached the outside, the old research facility disappeared behind them. The forest became silent again. For the first time, there were no alarms, no experiments, no monsters, only people standing together. Alex looked at his father. After 25 years, they finally had a chance to talk. His father smiled weakly. "I am sorry." Alex looked at him. "For what? For creating you?" Alex shook his head. "You did not create who I became. I did." His father smiled with tears in his eyes. And for the first time in many years, Alex felt complete. Months later, Silver Lake Town slowly returned to normal. People moved on. The old stories became legends. But Alex kept the truth hidden. Because some secrets were too dangerous for the world, he started a new life. Not as an experiment, not as a creation, but as Alex Morgan, a person who chose his own path. However, one night, while organizing old documents, Alex found something strange. A new photograph. A photograph that was never taken. It showed a city far away. A place Alex had never visited. And standing in the middle of that city was another person. someone with his face. But this time, the message behind the photograph was different. Only 4 words were written. The next one awakened. Alex stared at the picture, because he finally understood. Silver Lake was never the only place where experiments existed. It was only the first chapter. The photograph stayed on Alex's desk for hours. He kept staring at the image. A city he had never seen. A person he had never met. A face that looked exactly like his own. But the most disturbing part was not the person in the picture. It was the date written on the back. The photograph was taken 3 days in the future. Alex checked it again and again, hoping it was some kind of mistake, but the date remained the same. Someone or something was still creating impossible photographs, just like Silver Lake. Alex immediately called Henry. When Henry arrived and saw the picture, his expression changed. He did not look confused. He looked afraid, because he recognized the symbol hidden in the corner. The project is not over. Alex looked at him. What project? Henry placed the photograph on the table. The original experiment was not the only thing created in that facility. Alex remembered the secret files, the failed experiments, the different versions, but he thought everything ended when the facility collapsed. Henry shook his head. That facility was only one location. There were others. Alex felt a cold feeling inside him. How many? Henry opened the old black folder again. Inside were maps, different locations across America, each marked with the same symbol. New York, Nevada, California, Texas, and many more. Every location had one word written beside it. Active. Alex realized the truth. Silver Lake was never the center of the experiment. It was only one branch of something much bigger. The next morning, Alex traveled to the city shown in the photograph, a place called Greystone City, Nevada, a modern city far away from the quiet forests of Vermont. But when Alex arrived, something felt familiar. The same feeling he had when he first entered Silver Lake. Like someone was watching him, like the city already knew him. Following the clues from the photograph, Alex reached an abandoned building hidden between tall skyscrapers. The building looked empty from outside, but inside, the lights were already turned on. The elevator worked without anyone pressing the button, and when Alex entered, the screen displayed one message. Welcome back, Alex Morgan. The elevator moved downward, not upward, going deeper beneath the city. When the doors opened, Alex found another secret laboratory, but this one was different. It was bigger, more advanced, and much newer than the Silver Lake facility. Screens covered the walls, showing thousands of people, thousands of experiments, thousands of lives being monitored. Then one screen caught Alex's attention. A live camera feed, showing himself standing inside the laboratory. Alex looked around in confusion, because the camera was recording him before he even arrived. A voice came from behind him. You finally found us. Alex slowly turned around. A woman was standing there. She looked around 30 years old. Calm, confident, and holding a file with Alex's name on it. She smiled. My name is Dr. Sarah Collins, and I know why you were created. Alex stared at her. Who are you? The woman opened the file. I was the person who designed the first experiment. Alex froze. That is impossible. Everyone involved died years ago. She smiled slightly. That is what they wanted you to believe. Alex stepped back, because suddenly he understood. The experiments were not the only things that had been hidden. The people behind them were still alive. Dr. Sarah Collins placed the file in front of him. Inside was a picture of Alex before he was created. And standing beside the scientists was someone Alex recognized immediately, his own father. But the date on the photograph was impossible, because it was taken 10 years after his father's death. Alex looked up slowly, and Dr. Sarah Collins said, Your father was never a victim of this experiment. He was one of its creators. The room became silent, and for the second time in his life, Alex realized the truth was much darker than he imagined. Alex stared at the photograph in Dr. Sarah Collins' hand. His father was standing beside the scientists, smiling, alive, and working on the same project that changed Alex's entire life. For years, Alex believed his father was the person who saved him, the person who protected him from the darkness. But now another question appeared. Was his father really saving him? Or was he trying to hide what he created? Sarah Collins watched the confusion on Alex's face. You deserve the truth. Alex looked at her. I have heard that before. Sarah remained calm. But this time, you will see everything. She walked toward a large screen in the laboratory. The screen turned on, and an old video began playing. The quality was damaged, but Alex immediately recognized the room. The same laboratory where he was created. His father appeared on the screen, much younger, standing beside Sarah and the other scientists. A small child was sitting inside a glass chamber. Alex. But the video continued. His father was not celebrating the experiment. He looked worried. afraid. The scientists around him were excited. They believed they had created something impossible. A human being who could learn faster than anyone. A person who could adapt to any situation. But Alex's father noticed something they ignored. The child inside the chamber was developing emotions. Fear, sadness, attachment. The scientists called it a problem. They wanted to remove those emotions. They wanted perfection. But Alex's father refused. He said the emotions were not a weakness. They were proof that the experiment was alive. The video suddenly changed. A few years later, the laboratory was in chaos. Alarms were everywhere. Scientists were running. And Experiment 1 had escaped. Sarah paused the video. Alex looked at her. What happened? Sarah looked away. Your father tried to stop it. He failed. Alex felt anger rising. Then why did he create me? Sarah answered quietly. Because after Experiment 1 escaped, your father realized something. The world was not ready for a being without emotions. He believed the only way to stop it was to create someone who could understand both humans and experiments. Alex looked at himself. So I was created to stop it. Sarah nodded. But your father made one mistake. What mistake? He started loving you. The room became silent. Sarah continued. At first, you were only an experiment. But after spending years with you, he stopped seeing you as a creation. He saw you as his son. Alex looked down. All those years of memories. His father teaching him, protecting him, helping him grow. Maybe they were not fake. Maybe they were the most real thing he had. Suddenly, every screen in the laboratory turned black. A new message appeared. Experiment 1 is approaching. Sarah's face changed. He found us. Alex looked around. What does he want? Sarah answered with fear in her voice. He wants what you have. Humanity. The lights went out. A loud sound came from the entrance. Slow footsteps moved through the dark hallway. Then a familiar voice echoed. Alex, you finally learned the truth. The doors opened slowly, and Experiment 1 appeared. But this time, it was not alone. Behind it were hundreds of other creations, all different, all watching Alex. Experiment 1 smiled. You spent your life trying to discover who created you, but you never asked, who created me? Alex looked at the army behind it, because he finally understood. Experiment 1 was not coming for revenge. It was coming for a war. And Alex Morgan was standing in the middle of it. The laboratory lights flickered as hundreds of creations stood behind Experiment 1. Alex looked at them carefully. Some had human faces. Some looked different. Some looked unfinished. But all of them had the same expression. Confusion. They were not an army. They were lost beings searching for a purpose. Experiment 1 walked forward. You see them. They were all created because humans wanted to control life. They gave us intelligence. They gave us memories. But they never gave us a choice. Alex looked at the creations. For the first time, he understood their pain. They were not monsters. They were abandoned experiments, just like he once believed he was. Drive Sarah Collins stepped forward. Experiment 1. This ends now. Experiment 1 looked at her. You are the one who started this. You wanted perfection. You wanted a world without weakness. Sarah lowered her head. I was wrong. Experiment 1 smiled. Too late. The machines around the laboratory activated. The walls opened, revealing hundreds of chambers. Inside were more experiments, more versions waiting to be awakened. Alex realized the truth. This laboratory was not creating individuals. It was creating an entire replacement for humanity. Alex looked at Experiment 1. You want to replace humans? Experiment 1 nodded. Because humans destroy everything they touch. They create wars. They create suffering. They create creatures like us. Alex stepped closer. And yet you are doing the same thing. Experiment 1 stopped. You are controlling others. You are forcing them to become something they never chose. The creations behind Experiment 1 started looking at each other. Doubt appeared in their eyes. Experiment 1 noticed. You listened to him? He is just another experiment. Alex looked at them. Yes, I am. Everyone became silent. Alex continued. But being created does not mean we are owned. It does not mean we have no choices. We decide who we become. The words affected them. Because it was the same truth Alex had discovered about himself. Experiment 1 became angry. You are teaching them emotions. Alex answered. No, I am teaching them freedom. Suddenly, one of the creations stepped forward. A young woman who looked almost human. She looked at Experiment 1. We do not want to replace humans. We want to live. One by one, others stepped forward. Their loyalty began breaking. Experiment 1 looked around. For the first time in its existence, it was losing control. You are making a mistake, the young woman replied. Maybe, but it is our mistake to make. The laboratory started shaking. The system detected a security failure. Dr. Sarah looked at the control panel. The entire facility is going to collapse. Alex looked at her. Can you stop it? Sarah shook her head. No, Only Experiment 1 can shut it down. Everyone looked toward it. Experiment 1 stood silently, watching the creations it had made choose against it. Alex walked closer. You wanted to understand humans. This is the answer. Experiment 1 looked at him. What answer? Alex said, humans are not powerful because they never fail. They are powerful because they can change. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Experiment 1 looked at the collapsing facility, and at all the creations around it. Something changed in its expression. Not anger, not hatred. Something else. Regret. Slowly, it walked toward the control panel, and placed its hand on it. The alarm stopped. The shaking ended. Everyone waited. Experiment 1 looked at Alex. I spent my entire existence trying to become superior, but I never understood the thing I was trying to replace. Alex asked quietly, what was that? Experiment 1 answered, being alive. Then it pressed the final command. The entire laboratory began shutting down. But before the system completely stopped, one final message appeared on every screen. Original project complete. Final subject activated. Alex looked at the message, because everyone thought Experiment 1 was the first. But the system revealed something impossible. There was another subject, a final creation, hidden from everyone. Even Experiment 1, and somewhere deep beneath the laboratory, a chamber began opening. Inside was the one thing nobody expected, the first human version of Alex Morgan. The one created before Alex, the one who started everything. The entire laboratory became silent. Everyone looked toward the underground chamber as the doors slowly opened. A cold mist escaped from inside. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke, because everyone understood. Whatever was inside that chamber had been hidden for a reason. Alex slowly walked closer. His heart was telling him to stop, but his mind needed answers. The chamber lights turned on one by one, and a figure stepped out. A man who looked exactly like Alex, but older, much older. His face carried years of pain and loneliness. Sarah Collins stepped back in shock. No. Alex looked at her. You know him. Sarah could barely speak. That is impossible. The man looked around the room, then his eyes stopped on Alex. A small smile appeared on his face. So you finally made it. Alex stared at him. Who are you? The man looked at him. I am the first Alex Morgan. The room became completely silent. Henry, who had arrived with the others, looked confused. But Alex was the first successful experiment. Sarah shook her head. No, he was the second. Alex looked at her. What are you saying? Sarah took a deep breath. The Alex Morgan everyone knows was created from the memories of this person. The older version looked down. I was the original, but I was considered a failure. Alex stepped back. Why? The man answered. Because I was too human. I felt too much. I questioned everything. The scientists wanted perfection, but they did not want someone who could say no. Alex realized something. The original Alex was not a monster. He was the first person who proved emotions could exist inside an experiment. But instead of accepting him, they erased him. The older Alex looked toward Experiment 1. You remember me? Experiment 1 remained silent. For the first time, it looked afraid, because it knew the truth. The older Alex continued. You were created after me. You were made to remove everything they hated about me. My emotions, my doubts, my ability to choose. Experiment 1 looked down. Alex looked at both of them. Two beings created from the same beginning, but with completely different paths. One was created without emotions. One was created with too many. And Alex was created to find balance between them. The original Alex walked closer. You were never an experiment. You were the answer. Alex looked confused. What do you mean? The original Alex pointed toward the destroyed laboratory. They tried creating perfection. They failed. They tried creating intelligence. They failed. But when they created you, they accidentally created something they never expected. What? The original Alex smiled. Someone who could choose. Suddenly, the remaining machines activated again. A warning appeared. Final protocol restarting. Everyone looked at the screen. Sarah became pale. No. What is it? She answered. The system was never designed to create one perfect being. It was designed to combine all successful experiments. Alex looked at the chamber. The machine started pulling energy from every experiment. The copies. Experiment 1. The original Alex. Everyone began losing strength. The system was trying to merge them into one final creation. Experiment 1 looked at Alex. For the first time, there was no anger in its eyes. Only fear. If the protocol completes, none of us will exist anymore. Alex looked around. All these lives. All these experiments. All these people who only wanted a chance to live. He knew what he had to do. But the solution was something nobody expected. He walked toward the center of the laboratory and said, if this project was created because humans wanted to control life, then the only way to end it is to give life back its freedom. The machines became louder. The final chamber started opening. A bright light filled the entire room. And from inside the chamber, a voice spoke, a voice that sounded like every version of Alex combined. Creation complete. Everyone looked toward the chamber, because the final experiment had awakened. And it was not a copy. It was something entirely new. Something that could change the future of humanity forever. The light inside the final chamber became brighter. Everyone covered their eyes as the entire laboratory shook. The machines that had controlled countless lives for decades were finally reaching their final stage. The final experiment was awakening. Alex stood in front of the chamber. He could feel something strange. Not fear, not danger, but a connection. Like every memory, every pain, every choice, from every version of himself was flowing into that moment. The chamber doors opened completely. A figure stepped out, but this time, it did not look like Alex. It did not look like Experiment 1. It did not look like any previous creation. It looked completely human. A person with no past, no stolen memories, no programmed purpose, only a choice. Everyone remained silent. The new creation looked around the room, then looked at Alex. "Are you the one who saved us?" Alex shook his head. "No, we saved ourselves." The new creation looked confused. Alex continued, "Nobody should be created to serve someone else's dream. You deserve your own life." For a moment, nobody spoke. Then something unexpected happened. Experiment 1 walked toward the new creation. Everyone became alert, but Experiment 1 did not attack. It simply looked at it, and whispered, "You are what I wanted to become." The new creation looked at it. "No, I am what you forgot to be." Experiment 1 lowered its head, because it finally understood. It spent years trying to become perfect, but perfection was never the goal. Being alive was. The laboratory started collapsing around them. The final protocol was failing. Sarah rushed toward the control panel. "We need to leave now." Everyone moved toward the exit, but Alex stopped. He looked back at the laboratory, the place where his entire life began, the place that caused so much pain, but also the place where he discovered who he truly was. His father once believed creation could be controlled. The scientists believed life could be perfected. Experiment 1 believed emotions were weakness. But Alex learned the truth. Life was never about being perfect. It was about having the freedom to choose. As they escaped the facility, the entire building disappeared underground, erasing the final evidence of the experiment. Months passed. The world never learned what happened beneath Greystone City. The official story was that an abandoned research facility collapsed, but the truth remained hidden. Alex returned to Silver Lake Town, the place where everything started. The lake was gone. The old tunnels were destroyed, and the town finally had peace. Henry continued writing about everything they discovered, not to reveal it to the world, but to make sure nobody repeated the same mistakes. Sarah spent her life helping the creations find normal lives. For the first time, they were not experiments, they were people. Experiment 1 disappeared. Nobody knew where it went. Some believed it was searching for a new purpose. Others believed it was finally living the life it never had. And Alex Morgan finally accepted the truth about himself. He was created, but he was not owned. He was designed, but he was not controlled. He was different, but he was not alone. One evening, Alex stood near the empty land where Silver Lake once existed. He looked at an old photograph in his hand, the same photograph that started everything. But now something had changed. The picture was no longer showing a mystery. It showed a family. Alex, his father, Henry, and all the people who found their freedom. On the back of the photograph was one final message, written by his father. "Sometimes the greatest creation is not the one we build. It is the person we choose to become." Alex smiled, because after years of searching for the truth, he finally found the answer. He was never a copy, never an experiment, never a mistake. He was Alex Morgan, and his story was finally his own. So this is the story. Follow Nightmare Files for horror and creepy stories.